everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dagon Pack News. I have this week's best gaming news stories for you. So first up, The Sims 4 had an update recently. Unfortunately for The Sims, everyone is peeing fire. So this recent update to The Sims 4 has seemingly introduced a bug to the game that causes some Sims to pee fire. Aside from the blazing wee, this update is causing other more serious problems like crashes and lost saves. Sim quality designer Sim Guru Nick noted on Twitter that the team is looking into these issues. I've heard of having a burning sensation when you pee, but this is ridiculous. What? Was that too on the nose? Was that one too on the nose? Okay, how about, I've heard of Great Balls of Fire, but this is, nah. Okay, it's too easy. So the thing is, you know, the glitch is gonna be fixed. And the developers have said, and I quote, "For now, please enjoy this absurd situation while you can." End quote. But listen here, there is nothing funny or absurd about a burning sensation when you pee. How dare you? It's a common condition and can happen to anyone. So, in our next story, there was an announcement from Sega to mark the company's 60th anniversary. Sega has decided to take one of its most notorious systems and re-release it in micro form. It's not the Dreamcast or the Saturn though. Rather, it's the handheld Game Gear. For just 45 United States dollars, you could get your hands on a Game Gear Micro. It's available in 4 different colors: black, blue, yellow, and red. And here's some bullshit, okay? Each of the 4 different colors comes with 4 different games installed on it. It's just like, oh god, you know, and they were teasing this too before they actually made the announcement. Everyone was so excited. Everyone was like, oh my god, what is it gonna be? Like, talk about a huge fucking letdown. Well, I guess it's not that big of a letdown. It's actually the opposite problem. It's way too fucking small. It's like, this is the celebration for your 60th anniversary. Like, not a giveaway or a new device. No, instead you're selling us a rehashed ancient old console. And for $45. It's like a keychain? It looks like they were about to re-release the Game Gear, but someone accidentally put it in the wash. Look at the size of this thing. 1.5 inches. I'll tell you what, my ex-girlfriend told me 1.5 inches is just not big enough. Damn it, Jessica, that hurt. For a company who discontinued the Sega Saturn and Dreamcast fairly quickly, they sure are dragging out the usefulness of their late 80s and early 90s products. Getting a little bit dusty there, Sega. And yes, Zoolander, this is a console made for ants. It's so small. What is this, a Game Gear for ants? Look at Coobs way ahead of the curve. Thanks, Sega, I hate it. I know, right, Josie? Like, they made this announcement. They were, like, pumping it up, like, we're going to revolutionize the console world. I was like, oh, what if it's a Dreamcast 2? You know, I was like, oh my god, another competitor in the console space? I was getting so excited. And then they come out with this shit. I'm just like, all right. So in our next story, speaking of Sega, a Sonic fan site closes after 21 years. Following a very, very, very bad Black Lives Matter tweet. Yeah. It's not great. TSSZ is a Sonic fan site that's been running since 1999. It closed over the weekend, not long after the site's owner posted a very bad tweet comparing the plight of Black Americans and the Black Lives Matter movement to some stupid shit that Sonic the Hedgehog has been through. Let's take a look, shall we? Let's take a look at this. Okay, so let's see what they had to say. They said, for those who think we have no business as a Sonic site covering what is happening in the US, Sonic is wrongly detained by law enforcement in the first minute of SA2 and escaped. The plot plus gameplay of Sonic Forces centers around Resistance Rising versus Eggman's oppression. Let's unpack this for a second. You know what? Actually, let's not. Let's just say that that is stupid fucking shit, and let's just leave it at that, shall we? So here's the thing, though. They got called out on it, rightfully so, because what the fuck? They got called out on it, and what did the site's owner do? Did he double down? No. So I guess there's that. Instead, he deleted every tweet ever made on the account, deleted the account, and then he deleted the entire website, the entire Sonic fan site. Like, just poof, poof, gone. I mean, and the site, mind you, like, it has been in operation for over 2 decades. And so you have over 2 decades worth of Sonic news and opinion pieces from a score of writers. Just poof, it's just gone. Gone. No more. No more. Is that, you think that might be a bit of an overreaction, right? You know how some kids get annoyed, so they take their ball and they go home? Well, I feel like this guy basically took the ball home, stabbed it, then set fire to the entire football field. It's interesting because if you go to the site now, even though all the content of the site is gone, there is a farewell message there, and it's actually pretty eloquent. In fact, it's so eloquent that it's kind of hard to believe that the same person who wrote the tweet wrote the goodbye message. Although it is way too long for me to read here. Like, no, really, you should actually go look it up. It's basically the same length as War and Peace. It's like, it's a thing. It's like a whole thing. So, hackers say that classic Pokemon games spawn fewer monsters on tragic anniversaries. It's true. It's true. Apparently, 4th gen Pokemon games have spawn rates that are increased on certain happy dates, like most holidays, and the birthdays of some Pokemon developers, while spawn rates are decreased on dates marking historic tragedies like the Hiroshima and Nagasaki bombings and 9/11. Let's be honest, though, right? It's hard to have the moral high ground when your game is literally about getting animals to beat the ever-living shit out of each other for our own amusement. It's something like this. It's something like this, all right? Wow, we did it, Pikachu! We did it? We did fuck all. I just fought a giant rock lizard cock while you stood by and yelled at me! I don't know, it's odd. It's odd. Like, I know you're super bummed about this horrible, horrible thing that happened today in history. So we're gonna have even less fun by spawning fewer Pokemon. How about that? In our next story, somebody turned Half-Life Alyx into PT in case you never want to sleep again. So even though PT was just a playable teaser for a game that we will never actually get to play, it still haunts many people's memories. Now someone is trying to recreate the terrifying game using the Half-Life Alyx engine. Currently, it contains the famous looping hallways, the red hallway ending, and the strange paper bag that talks to the player. It took people 2 weeks to figure out the original ending. They could make this game have no ending and see how long it takes them to figure that out. Or you could just not play it, pretend that such a horrifying thing doesn't even exist, and make up your own ending. Clearly, the ending involves finding a door leading outside where you get to play in a field of bunnies. Obviously. In our next story, after keeping us crammed inside spaceships and planetary vehicles for years, Elite Dangerous will let us stretch our tired space legs in its next expansion, Odyssey. You'll be able to drop down to worlds, hop out of your ship, and go for a wander, or maybe a fight in first person. Yes, so Elite Dangerous Odyssey is the new expansion coming out for Elite Dangerous soon that's going to allow you to explore worlds on foot. Speaking of VR, unfortunately, this update will not support VR headsets, and planned VR support has not been announced. Yeah, it's actually very, very disappointing. But apparently you'll be able to undertake ground missions that include diplomatic gigs, commercial ventures, and combat. You'll find work, assistance, and shops in social hubs all across the galaxy. And you'll be meeting your fellow pilots in person rather than peering at them through the window. This reminds me of Driver 2 on PlayStation 1. The first driving game I remember where you could get out of the car and walk around. It was amazing. You step out, look around, and realize, well, there wasn't a whole lot to do. Space travel has become so normal and boring that we are now excited that a game will allow us to once again walk on foot. Thanks, SpaceX. God. So a quote from the article says, just like your ship, you'll need to equip yourself before striking off, picking different loadouts depending on what kind of mission you are undertaking. So you can bring, so that's the end quote, right? So you can bring weapons to defend yourself, equipment you may need to use, and of course, a red-shirted male. Yeah. So I don't know. I'm really disappointed about the VR. Like, honestly, like, VR is the only thing that draws me to Elite Dangerous. And, like, knowing that there's going to be, like, a whole part of the game that you can't be in VR for kind of actually kills it for me. Because, like, if I want to play in VR, and I know I can't participate in, like, half the game, it's like, why fucking bother? Why fucking bother? It's very disappointing. And speaking of space, in our next story, this EVE Online pilot just made history by pillaging $60,000 worth of items. The pilot's name was Sully, and he's spent the last month orchestrating a marauding marathon, destroying 32 player-owned stations all across the high-sec region of New Eden. Most contained a small fortune of items, but on June 2nd, Sully and some close friends hit a Raitaru engineering complex owned by a group of players called Future Tech Industries. Inside, they found the single biggest loot drop in EVE Online history. 4 trillion ISK worth of items that, when converted to EVE Online subscription game time, equals roughly 60,000 United States dollars. So some backstory on this. Citadels are a player-owned structure whose loot rules have changed recently. Now citadels that aren't actively maintained by players can become abandoned, making them easier to tear down. More importantly, abandoned citadels no longer trigger something called asset safety, a mechanism that transports the citadel contents safely away when destroyed. Anything and everything stored inside becomes fair game. Sully got that full load on that mission all over his face, Coobs. Now, keep in mind, that is $60,000 in theoretical dollars. It's like getting a lot of those fake currencies that some theme parks use. It's like, it's great if you want to go on the slipping slide 1 million times, but not really good for much anything else. This game has more space bureaucracy than the George Lucas Star Wars prequels. Imagine explaining to someone from the past how far we've come in the area of space exploration. Do you have space travel in the year 2020? No, but we have computer games that make us feel like we do. It will include bureaucracy and logistics. All the things you have ever wanted. Those guys are going to be so pissed when they realize their stuff is gone. It'd be like if a bank gave away all your money because you didn't come to visit the bank teller and say hi every week. God, Rebecca is so needy. By the way, this article was long. It had to have been like the largest gaming news article of all time. I've read books about real life war that had less details than that article did. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Dagon Pack News. If you liked this video, hit those like and subscribe buttons. And if you feel so inclined, leave a comment down below. If you have any stories you want me to cover next week, leave a comment for that as well. Just leave the link down there and I will have a look. Bye-bye.